Hello, Mr. McCammon.
There we go.
How is your
All right.
French? Hi, Terry.
Ah, how you doing, kiddo?
So let me hear you French now.
Bonjour.
That's my limit too. Bonjour.
Good start.
All right, everyone. At this point, I think we're good to get started. I don't see anybody else jumping in, but I will keep monitoring it. All right, welcome to the June 2024 5 Miles from Anywhere meeting. Today, we have the honor of having Fabienne Courouge. Did I say your name right? Or did I butcher
No,
it?
it's not Courage, it's Courouge.
Courouge? Okay, Fabienne
Courouge,
Courouge.
which, if you just translate it, means redneck.
Okay. Okay.
Fortunately for here, Courouge doesn't mean anything but a neck that is red. But
Okay.
if you just translate it,
Yeah, has
an
American
redneck.
idiom connotation here. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of a connotation.
Wow. Okay. But thank you for correcting. You'll probably be correcting my French words quite a bit.
Courage would be more glamorous, but it's not the case.
Okay, Courouge.
But it's okay, you know. On my BSI certificate, they wrote courage too.
Yeah, because we know you're courageous because you came in and they're doing this today in English, so you know you're courageous. We are
courageous. She's courageous.
I'm a very courageous redneck.
All right, so just a couple of things. So today we will start with just I don't really have many announcements, but I will pause, of course, and let anybody who has some say something, and then we will have the main event, which is Sherlock Holmes and Sherlockiana in France, and Fabienne Courouge will be a BSI, by the way, in my class of 2024. Kind of excited to have her here. Henri Fournage, and she will give our talk, and then we'll have a little discussion at the end, like we always do. And so that's our plate for today. So just the only announcement I have is just reminding everybody that on June 15th at Gillette Castle State Park, I will be speaking for the Torrington Road release party. And if anybody is going to be in the area and hasn't contacted me yet, please do so. I do have a handful of tickets for the 2:15 tour of Gillette Castle. And I'm happy to just give those to you if you're interested. But it's going to be a great day. We're going to release the book. The first time it's been released since 1927. It's the only novel William Gillette wrote, and it's a noir book. And I'll talk about how we restored it. And Paul Schiller, who is kind of like known as Mr. Gillette because he's the Gillette expert, as he's called. We'll talk a little bit about Gillette's life when he wrote Torrington Road. Then we'll have a book signing and the castle tours, and then we'll also tour the grounds. And it's just a wonderful place. Last year, they let me go into the archives. I got the hold in my hand the letter Doyle wrote to Gillette, congratulating him on the 25th anniversary of his Sherlock Holmes tour. So, I mean, it's just a wonderful place, and you are available. I know most of you guys probably aren't, but if you are in that area, just let me know, and I would love to have you join me. All right, that's actually the only announcement I have for today. So I will pause because I know sometimes people do have announcements, and I'll just open, getting ahead of myself there. I will open the floor for anybody who might have an announcement, who wants to just unmute and let me know. Shayna.
Hi, can you hear me? So as some of you know, I help run the Ash Wednesday dinners, which is just a get together that we have, for dinner and conversation on the first Wednesday of every month. The next one is this coming Wednesday, the 5th. So if you're in Manhattan and you're interested in joining us, it's 6 o'clock on Wednesday, and I will put my email address in the chat so I can send you the details.
Thank you, Shayna. Some point, probably when I retire, I'll actually make it out for some of those dinners. I'm looking really forward to it. Okay. Any other announcements? All right. Hearing none, I will, wait, just want to make sure. Okay. All right, I think we will continue here. Share my screen again just quickly. Because there we are. I just want to give an announcement. I just want to introduce our speaker here. All right. So the first Sherlock Holmes adventure that Fabienne Courouge, BSI, aka Henri Fournage, read was The Hound of the Baskervilles when she was 11. In 2018, noting that there was no Sherlock Holmes journal in France, she started La Gazette du 221B with contributions from members of the Parisian Science Society, Cercle Holmesien de Paris. Probably butchered that, but I gave it my best. Miss Courouge has contributed to the Baker Street Journal, the Baker Street Almanac, and the Essential Sherlock Holmes series, which is edited by Dan Andriaco. In January, and this is really a huge deal, Fabienne attended her first BSI meeting in New York, and she had the rare honor, and this very rarely happens, of being invested in her first meeting. And that's huge, okay? So let's give a warm virtual welcome to, I actually stop sharing so you can see the applause here, to Fabienne. And it's all you, my friend. So you should have access to share the screen, and you can start your talk.
Okay, I'm sharing my screen, sorry. Tell me when you can see it.
Okay. Perfect. We got it already.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Looks
That's
great.
perfect.
Well, I've got it turned all the way up and I can't hear her.
Sorry?
I think someone just has their mic on. I'm going to go through and turn them all off, okay? Including my own.
Okay. Is everything okay for everyone? Well, everybody is mute. Is on
No,
mute.
it's good. It's good. You look, it's great.
Well, so hi everybody, and thank you for being there. I will start with asking you to excuse me in advance for the English mistake. I certainly will do. But if at some point you don't understand what I say, or want to ask a question, feel free to interrupt, and I try to rephrase it as much as I can, as good as I can, actually. So today we're here to talk about Sherlock Holmes and Sherlockiana in France, and I will start with Conan Doyle and France very shortly. Conan Doyle was very fond of France, and he spoke and wrote in French. He studied French history for himself and for his historical novels, The White Company of Sir Nigel or Brigadier Gérard. He had a great uncle in Paris, and he visited he visited Paris for the first time when he was 17. And he visited France and Paris so at last 14 times. I counted 14 times, maybe more, during his life. And he started his second honeymoon in Paris with his wife, Jean. And he started it in Paris in the Hotel Regina, which still exists in Paris, is on the Rue de Rivoli. In 1916, on a less joyous note, he visited the Western war front in France and collected his memory in work called A Glimpse of the French line, and you can read it in his work, A Visit to the Free Front. And last, Arthur Conan Doyle went several times in a city in Normandy called Les Andelys, where his sister Annette was living. Now let's start with Sherlock Holmes. Well, in the canon, you can find 58 mention of the word France or French, and if you add the name of French city, it's more than 100. So I think, I'm not sure, I didn't count, but I think it's the foreign country which is the most often quoted, mentioned in the canon. And there are a fair number of supporting characters who are French. So, for example, several French policemen, as François Le Villard in The Sign of the Four, Monsieur Dubuc, Mademoiselle Carrère in The Hound of the Baskerville, Oscar Meunier, the sculptor who made his bust in the empty house, Tavernier, and so on. There is much more, but I won't make a comprehensive list, would be too long. A fun story is that Conan Doyle used name of French towns or villages to name the characters he created. For example, in the Illustrious Clients, you find Colonel Damery maybe, but in French Damery, and of course de Merville. And it happens that Damery and Merville are two villages or small town that that Conan Doyle certainly visited while he was in France during World War I. And because I say that's he certainly visited them while when he was on the French war front, because those small villages are mostly in north and northeast of France. And just for the record, Baskerville is the name Baskerville has French origins. There are two possible etymology. It maybe comes from a small city called Baqueville, which is actually very close to Les Andelys, where Conan Doyle's sister lived, or it could come from Bosquerville, which Bosqueville is bosquet means a thick copse, a little wood. So wherever you look at, you can find reference to France in the canon. And actually, you can wonder if Sherlock Holmes is not, you know, a hidden son of France, because his ancestors were the Vernets. So in the Greek interpreter, we learned that Holmes' grandmother was the sister of Vernet, the French artist. The Vernets were painters from father to son. There are several Vernet, Claude Joseph, Karl, Horace. Given the dates, we can guess that Holmes' great uncle was Horace Vernet. It's the most likely. Horace Vernet was a painter who was a painter that who represented, who painted Napoleonian battles and Orientalist subject and some portraits. You can see a self-portrait on the left side of the slide. And many of his paintings are exhibited in the Château de Versailles. There was an exhibition about Vernet a few months ago. What can let us think that Holmes had a very close proximity to France is that he obviously spoke French. And as a proof of that, in the Red-Headed League, Holmes quoted Gustave Flaubert. Flaubert is a very famous writer from the 19th century. And Holmes say, "L'homme c'est rien, l'œuvre c'est tout," which is a quotation of a letter from Gustave Flaubert to his friend George Sand. George, despite her name, is a woman. The Red-Headed League is happening in 1819 and was written in 1894. And the letters from Flaubert to George Sand were only translated in English in 1910. So he quotes in French, and Holmes obviously read the letters, the correspondence in French. Didn't exist in English at the time. I will also take the example of Alphonse Bertillon, Alphonse Bertillon, who you heard of him in the canon twice. The first time in the naval treaty, because Watson, remember, Holmes' conversation was about Bertillon's system of measurement, and he expressed his enthusiastic admiration of the French savant. And in hand, Dr. Mortimer refers to Holmes as the second highest expert in Europe after Bertillon. So just for the record, the naval treaty is from 1889, and the Bertillon system was from 1882. So Sherlock Holmes was very aware of French research about forensic and scientific police. And last but not least, in the Golden Pince-Nez, it is mentioned that the arrest of Henri, the boulevard assassin, is a case which Sherlock Holmes investigated in 1894. It's an exploit which won for Holmes an autographed letter of thanks from the French president and the Legion of Honor, the Légion d'honneur in France. Well, and Holmes accepted the Légion d'honneur when he refused knighthood from the Queen, or the Queen of England. So he accepted this French award. And for the record, the president could have been Jean-Casimir Perrier or Sadi Carnot, because the two of them were president of France in 1894. Okay. Now we will see the location, because Holmes traveled many times in France and visited several cities. There is 26 mention of Paris in the canon. For example, in the stockbrokers, the Franco-Midland Hardware Company head office was in Paris, and in the Golden Pince-Nez, the tracking of arrest of Henri, the boulevard assassin, was probably in Paris. It's not mentioned, it's not made clear in the canon, but the Paris boulevard were quite famous, and as he got the Légion d'honneur for that, we can really think that it was in Paris. If you want something in the, not the list, but the 2022 Sherlock Holmes Review magazine, there is an article where I wrote three theories about the location of this boulevard. I won't summarize it here because it would be too long. But I have my ideas about it. Sherlock Holmes also went to Lyon. Conan Doyle wrote it wrong because he added an S at the end, which doesn't exist. But in the Regate Squires, Watson received a telegram from Lyons, which informed him that Holmes was lying ill in the Hotel du Long. And of course, there is Montpellier. Montpellier, that is quoted several times. During the hiatus, we know that Holmes spent some months in research into the coal tar derivative in a laboratory of Montpellier. And in Lady Frances Carfax, Watson heads to Montpellier to speak to Marie Devine, Lady Frances' former chambermaid, and was assaulted and saved by a French worker, rescued by a workman. This workman turns out to be Holmes in a disguise. So, having spending time in Montpellier and being plausible, credible when in disguise of a French worker, we also can guess by these clues that Holmes spoke French. Gonna make a small break here to ask if you understand what I'm saying. You do? That's a relief. I'm always a bit nervous about my English.
The only problem I had is when you pronounce things correctly in French, I don't understand them. What's this pince-nez you speak of?
What the?
No, like pince-nez, we just call it pince-nez.
I will try to.
Wasn't a complaint, by the way. He's just kidding you a little bit because your
I was
pronunciation is so
you are
correct.
perfectly understandable.
Yes, you are.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You're doing just fine, Fabienne. Carry on.
You are.
And Sherlock Holmes was successful in France, so that in the 1920s, a dance was created called La Sherlockinette, the Sherlockinette. You can find a video of it on YouTube, but I didn't put it on my slide because actually it's you can recognize the figures on the video, so I preferred to put on the drawings, the illustration, and Sherlockinette. Out bunny hug and turkey throat, American girl dance herself ill in Paris. That was the Sherlockinette. It's basically a dance that is supposed to mime how Sherlock Holmes get his jewelry stolen, and try to catch his partner while he's flying. You know, you size up your partner jewelry, then the partner are facing each other and Sherlock Holmes turn around the victims. Then he makes his partner fall in his arms. Then the partner is trying to run away and Sherlock Holmes pursues him. The Sherlockinette. And a little surprise, Sherlock Holmes is buried in France. Yes. Here you can see the Holmesian Circle of Paris in front of a tombstone, around a tombstone in Père Lachaise, And on this tombstone, anonymous, no dates, only SH. I will show you, I will zoom on it. Can you see the SH on the tombstone? So we didn't try to do anything, but whether Sherlock Holmes decided to be buried on the land of his ancestor, the Vernets, or maybe it's empty. We'll never know. Now I'm going to talk about Sherlockian clubs and groups in France. This is obviously nothing compared to American clubs and science societies, but we have a small number of clubs. The first one was created in 1984, and the name was Les Amis d'Henri Fournage, the friends of Henri Fournage. It was dissolved in 1893 and replaced by the first national group, the first national club, which is the Société Sherlock Holmes de France. Do I need to translate? Société Sherlock Holmes de France. And there are also local clubs. There are clubs in big cities as Marseille, Lyon, Pau, and in Paris. This is the club I'm a member of, the Cercle Holmésien de Paris, Holmesian Circle of Paris. It was created in 12 years ago, and the meetings are every second Wednesday of the month. And it's the Parisian club is certainly the most active Sherlockian group of France nowadays. France also have creators, authors, people who adapted Sherlock Holmes' story. I'm going to talk first about novels. The first and certainly most famous one, it was published in 1996, and it's Arsène Lupin contre Sherlock Holmes, Arsène Lupin versus Sherlock Holmes. It was serialized, published in a French magazine called Je sais tout, I know all. And what is fun is that I did say Arsène Lupin contre Sherlock Holmes. It's not, of course. If you notice the mistake, it's Arsène Lupin versus Sherlock Holmes. But for the record, Maurice Leblanc, the author, used the name Sherlock Holmes in the two first chapters. Then Conan Doyle stopped the use of his character name, so it became Sherlock Holmes. And this publication contains two short novels, La Dame Blonde, The Blonde Lady, and La Lampe Juive, The Jewish Lamp. Then you can see in 1926 a small theater play called Les Aventures de Loufoque Holmes. It's from between the two World War, and in a time in France where absurd was very fashionable, trendy in literature. For example, you can find Pérubu, or if you're a bit familiar with French literature. And Loufoque, the name he gave instead of Sherlock, means weirdo. So it's the adventures of Weirdo Holmes, and it's an absurd universe. And you can see Alexis Lecaille, Marx, and Sherlock Holmes, who made two Sherlockian novels. One where Sherlock Holmes met Karl Marx, and another one where he met Albert Einstein. I present some of them. René, you can see Wiggins in the middle of my slide. It's a youth literature by Beatrice Nicodème, and she used the character of Wiggins as the assistant of Sherlock Holmes. It's a very there is a whole series of books, and these are excellent youth novel. You can see the secret story of Sherlock Holmes that René Réhouven. René Réhouven, it's a take on the untold story. Duel en enfer, Duel in hell, I suppose, which is a take on the mythical confrontation between Sherlock Holmes and Jack the Ripper. You can see Sherlock Holmes Une vie from Xavier Mauméjean, by Xavier Mauméjean, which is a biography of Sherlock Holmes, not unlike what Baring-Gould did. And very recently, because it started in 2020, a small press made a whole collection where Sherlock Holmes is solving mystery or investigating traditional legend as ghost and beast or mysterious death in French cities or French county. And there are, I think, 18 books like this. You can see it on their website. So that's Sherlock Holmes in Arcachon, in Médoc, in the Valley of Loire, and so on. But France, there is not that many pastiches in novels, but France has an important production in graphic novels in general, and it shows in the category of Sherlockian pastiche, and you can find different kind of a wide range of graphic novel types. Can be youth comic book, as in Les Quatre de Baker Street, The Four of Baker Street, You can find also faithful adaptation, as in Le Chien des Baskerville. I don't translate, I think you got it. Or here the Speckled Band, Untold Story, The Giant Rat of Sumatras, humorous parodies like Baker Street, this the one here, and humorous or dark or steampunk. I just want to highlight two outstanding series. The first one is the Sherlock Holmes Society by Sylvain Cordurier, which an amazing series in 6 tomes and very successful. It was translated to Italian and to German, and I want to emphasize on this one, Dans la tête de Sherlock Holmes, by Benoît Dahan and Cyril Liéron. It's an award-winning graphic novel, and it was translated in English. The name is Inside the Mind of Sherlock Holmes, and I highly recommend it because it's really good. The design, the story is excellent. And just for the record, I saw it in Otto Penzler Mysterious Bookshop when I was in New York. So I think you can find it quite easily. The Sherlock Holmes they created looks a lot like Peter Cushing, as you can see. France, for a long time, Sherlock Holmes wasn't often performed on French stage. I'm going to talk about theater plays now. There was only a bad adaptation of William Gillette plays and a very bad adaptation of the End of the Baskervilles. But lately, the trend has reversed, and many theater plays who are taking Sherlock Holmes as the leading character were created, and some of them are very good. In the last 5 years, I counted 25 plays performed in France. It can be faithful adaptation, parodies, comedies, original story, and even musicals. And some of them are very, very successful and have been performed for more than 5 years in Paris and on tour. And a few months ago, 5 plays were performed simultaneously in different Parisian theaters. So there are a lot of Sherlock Holmes posters on the Colonne Maurice in Paris or on the walls, and you can see some of them here. And so when I noted this abundance of Sherlockian activities in France, I wanted to put them into light and decided to create a magazine for the Sherlockian community in France. Some people told me to do it in English, but first of all, there are already many outstanding Sherlockian magazine in English. So it was important for me to do it in my native language. So that's how La Gazette du 221B, not 221B. La Gazette du 221B was born 6 years ago. And I created it with a friend, and we were lucky enough. I was lucky enough to be joined by a regular contributors who are very knowledgeable. For example, they are not here, but Xavier, Hélène. Ah, yes, Robin is here. Thank you, Robin, who was a contributor for not the very beginning, but very soon after the magazine was created. Isabelle and so on. And I was lucky as well that the French creators were welcoming interviews and very reachable. So the first purpose, the first goal was to highlight the French creation, but we are not only inward looking, and we try our best to report on major international news and interview author and Sherlockian life actors. As you can see here, an interview of Bonnie McBird, of Nicholas Meyer, and of Andrew Solberg about BSI Press. So as you can see, the magazine is in French, but when we have an article, an interview, or a story in English, I thought it would be a waste to only translate it and make it available in French. So on the website of the magazine, you also can find the original versions of the English content I get. And so the 16th issue was released 2 weeks ago, and it's about the BSI organization, with exclusive interviews, a photo reportage on the January weekend, a presentation of the new BSI clients. The design is brand new, and you can now download the PDF magazine in French or scroll it online. So here is the, sorry. Here is the link. I will show you. This is the website. In French, you can watch it as a flip book. Sorry, it takes time. You can watch it as a flip book. And for international reader, you have the English version with the content I got from English-speaking interviews. Well, thank you very much for your attention, and if you have questions, here I am. maybe you can unmute.
There we go. So let's applaud. You did great, Fabienne. I know you were.
Very interesting.
Good.
I think you actually speak English better than most of us, so you did a great job.
Thank
Right.
you.
I do want to open it up
It's
for questions.
okay. I don't share my screen anymore.
You can if you want to. I thought we could.
No. I just
Okay.
wanted if
Yes, we all see you
stopped.
now. But that way I thought you could see people when they asked questions. So if anyone does have a question for Fabienne, you can either use the hand raise feature or just unmute and ask. I'll pause for a second. I have a question, but I'll wait to see if others do. Oh, Larry?
Okay, well, I just want to mention a couple of things that, based on what you were saying, to expand a little from our point of view. First thing I want to know is Derek in that magazine? Because that's the class.
Absolutely
Yeah,
is.
all right. I just want to make sure. Okay. I have a
But you discover what he say of himself by reading the magazine. So I will
right.
let you go on there.
It does look like a beautiful magazine. Very, very high quality, well produced.
Thank you.
Compared to some of the stuff that we try to do. It's very, very professional. I have a long held an affection for Sherlock Holmes and versus
Arsène Lupin.
Yeah, yes, and I have an English translation here in my collection. I also sometimes see him as Hemlock Shears. When they sometimes it's Sherlock Holmes, sometimes I see it as Hemlock Shears. Does that sound familiar to you? You ever?
Hemlock Shears, yes.
Yes.
But was it used by Leblanc? No,
Yes.
I don't think so. Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay.
I think it's the same novel, but in that novel, they call him Hemlock Shears instead of Sherlock Holmes for some reason.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Okay.
And Watson is Wilson.
Right.
In this novel.
Yeah, it's got some very funny scenes, and it's always interesting to see the French view of the British.
It's really fun, but I can understand why Conan Doyle refused that the name of his creation was used, because, well, that's not respectful at all. But
he was that was his policy. He did
it
that
was the intention, yes. But for
he
example,
to American writers as well.
It's Leblanc Watson. So Wilson is really absolutely stupid in the novel. I mean, Nigel Bruce is a genius compared to
and
Leblanc's Wilson.
And Holmes himself is so British that he's cold and without emotions.
Oh, very, very cold.
At one point, some criminal breaks Wilson's arm, and Holmes and Sholmes says, well, it could have been way worse, Wilson. And Wilson says, well, what do you mean? And Sholmes says, well, it could have been my arm.
Yeah, at some points he said, Wilson say, I asked Sholmes if I could help him, and say, and Holmes said to me, go to the hotel, lie on the bed, and wait and see if something happens. Right. And Wilson leaves and say, I was so thrilled to get such an important mission. So
right. Of course. I also wanted to mention that in the latest Beekeeper's Apprentice book, in the Beekeeper's Apprentice series, goes it was called, I think, the Lantern's Dance. I just finished reading it myself, and it goes very deeply into the Verniers and the
Oh,
history
yes.
of Horace Vernier and why she thinks it can only have been Horace Vernier of all the Verniers that he was talking about. And so
Some people say it could have been Claude Joseph,
right.
but it's very more
Yeah.
likely to have been Horace.
Yeah, she does a study, and of course she's doing a fictionalized version of it, of course. And I think she's some kind of connection between Horace Vernet and Sherlock Holmes's mother. She's speculates in her fiction, in a fictional way. But anyway, it's very interesting if you're interested in the subject.
I'm sure it is.
Yes. And
in the next Gazette, I think we will have an account of the exhibition of the Vernet exhibition in the Château de Versailles, because Jean-Christophe, JC, as you call him, and the Holmesian Circle of Paris went to Versailles and to see the exhibition, and one member of the club is willing to make an account about it.
There's more I could say about Sherlock Holmes in France for myself, but I don't want to hog that we have not have much time left. I can see maybe somebody else has some questions.
Thank you. Those are great, Larry. Fabienne, I wanted to ask one question. I see Michael also has a question, but I am curious to know that grave of Sherlock Holmes was that to me, like, that was such a great image. Has anyone
that was a surprise for you because it wasn't in the document I sent you. Yes, so the grave.
I was just wondering, has anyone written an article on how that is Sherlock Holmes' grave and how he ended up dying in France or was buried in France? It just seems like that would be a great article.
As far as I know, nobody did.
Oh, I think that's your
I've
list.
heard a certain people I met in New York and who published book who were interested to make a cover with it. Don't remember who.
I remember. Well, I remember when we walked back from the pub there.
McSorley.
Yes. With McSorley's, I remember my brother asking you a couple of questions about it. Maybe he was the one who wanted to get an image of it, but that to me, like when I saw that, I was like, wow.
No, but as I told you, there are no many novels and pastiche written here in France, so maybe it could inspire some author.
Yes.
Actually, I don't write fiction, so it won't be me, but I will try to infuse the idea.
Yes, I think it's you got my mind going. So very, very cool. Michael Newman, you had a question?
Not a question. I think we have to thank France for the survival of the Gillette movie, don't we?
Yes, actually, the copy that was found by someone that my husband know. Actually, her name is Céline Rivaud, and she works for the Cinémathèque Française, and she found this copy of the Gillette movie, and it was sent to San Francisco to be restored, and it was actually, I must say, it was beautifully restored. Really, really, really a great job. So the premiere was in Paris. There are a second premiere in San Francisco, but the premiere, the first, the genuine premiere was in Paris, and I was there, and I think GC2
Yes.
and I still have my ticket for it.
Wow.
I didn't take it. If you leave me 5 minutes, I can show you the ticket. But it's just basically a movie, a theater ticket. There is not, but I kept it because it's a good memory. And it was great to see Sherlock Holmes performed by Gillette. And my husband works for an institution called National Center for Cinema. And he sometimes work with the Cinematheque, and he knows Céline who found the books. I hope I can interview her one day. She's very busy actually, but well, I hope they are still searching for that kind of gold nuggets.
Yes. All right, we are over time. And I just want to thank you again so much, Fabienne, for your wonderful talk. You did a great job. And again, virtual round of applause.
Thank you to everyone for listening to me.
Bravo, Fabienne.
So we will be on our summer hiatus now, and we will be back in September for 5 Miles from Anywhere. I hope everybody has a wonderful few months. And if you have any questions or ideas for talks for 5 Miles from Anywhere, please send me an email, and I will send out the recording to the group of Fabienne's wonderful talk. And I also have it up on the YouTube channel as well.
Oh yes, and feel free to contact me if you want something or to have details or precision about something. I'm on Facebook.
And I will send out the link to the magazine for 221B. And so you guys can all read either the French or English version. And it'll be available. It's a beautiful magazine. You do a great job on that.
Thank you. And some of you need to practice French, so
That's right.
What's that? The Sherlock Holmes dance, was that on, you said YouTube?
Yes, you can find if you type the La Sherlockinette on YouTube, you can find a video, but the video is from the 1940s, and you won't recognize the dance as it was described in the 1920s, but it's actually fun. And I want to thank a Sherlockian fellow in French. The name is Alexis Barquin. Maybe sometimes some of you know him, but he made a website called the Arthur Conan Doyle, the Conan Doyle Encyclopedia, and
sure,
yes,
yeah, it's a terrific work, really. I don't know how many hours he spends updating and collecting information, but you also can find things about La Sherlockinette, this dance, on his website.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day. And I got a couple of comments in the chat, and I will respond to everyone on those. But anyway, just I'll send you guys emails after this is done. But thank you all again, and I look forward to seeing you guys in September. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fabienne. Thank you. Have a good show,
Thank you very
everybody.
much.
Thank you, and
Goodbye.
see you soon, whether in Paris or in USA. Au revoir.
Have a good summer.
Bonne soirée, Fabienne.
Bonne soirée, Jean-Christophe.
Bonne soirée.
And Larry, I will be gone tomorrow.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.